You ever notice whenever we have an expert that's on the show that Rachel will commandeer his time before she allows the listeners to get him?
Well, it's your chance. It's like, stealing the free samples.
I don't know why she's talking to Daniel Moss, divorce attorney, though, because I'm wondering if maybe she's asking him questions,
Maybe she needs a prenup or something.
Preparing
She's not even married. How
situation.
could she get divorced?
No, she probably needs a prenup. You do prenup.
Rachel, were you asking for a little advice from Daniel Moss on how to protect yourself before you marry Capricorn Baby Daddy Pizza Delivery Guy?
I do have questions. Am I really allowed to ask them?
Well,
sure, but it's just odd because you said, first of all, you're not married. Second of all, you said you want to elope and you don't want any paperwork.
But it still might be a prenuptial agreement.
And you guys had mentioned that, Daniel. If I don't sign paperwork...
Good morning, by the way, Daniel.
Good morning.
How are you?
Welcome to our guest.
As we attack you. If I don't sign paperwork and I'm not legally married by the eyes of the state and we split up, do you feel I still need a prenup prior to taking the vows?
Prenup is one thing. Before you get married, a prenup, depending on if you got a lot to lose or protect, as the case may be, it's a good idea.
Okay, gotcha.
Are you getting a prenup for your Honda Fit? Is that what you're doing?
No, I am buying him. I'm buying him a Ford F-150 though.
Do you think?
So would you rescind that?
Exactly.
That's not a gift. That's a.
What happens if he leaves me? Do I keep?
Well,
that?
you can make an agreement for anything. I mean, these courts today, at least in Michigan, are pretty good about enforcing premarital agreements.
So if I wanted to sit there and literally itemize everything and say, if something happens, this is what I get.
It's a tough way to go into a marriage, though.
I know that's what I don't want. So I don't want.
I mean, that really doesn't establish a lot of trust right away, does it? Although,
but Daniel, do you think that before she even marries the guy, she should buy him a car?
I don't think so. I don't, because I'm talking as a father.
Okay, because you got daughters, right?
My daughter's here today in the studio. As a matter of fact, Sarah.
Hi.
Nice to see you, Sarah.
So let me ask you, Michigan doesn't exactly have like a common law marriage thing, but
No common law in Michigan.
If you've been with somebody for, let's say, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2 years, 3 years, and you guys split, then what happens?
Those are bigger lawsuits than divorces because because you got to basically go back and trace everything. This is mine. This is yours. And then many times there's like palimony-type lawsuits. Palimony-type lawsuits where somebody says, well, he promised me if I stayed with him and did this and this and this and this, he'd give me $1 million or whatever the case may be.
Wow.
Those are really contentious lawsuits. They end up going to court.
So shacking
they
up
involve
is
a lot of money.
basically harder than getting married when you're leaving.
Oh, yeah. When you split up, it's tough.
Did you get a chance at all yesterday to hear the divorce finalist number one? I
did.
Oh, man, you're got your
setting
work
me
cut
up,
out
Mojo.
for you.
You're setting me up.
Are you sure you want to do this? My God. By the way, the judge for that case is going to be Jerry Springer. We're going to put him up on the...
It sounds like a Jerry Springer case.
It does, yeah. 313-298-9595. Daniel Moss is in with us right now, divorce attorney. You want to ask some questions, you can at 313-298-9595, pound 955 on your Verizon wireless phone, or you can text 95500. Rhonda?
Yes.
Hi, you're on with Daniel Moss and Mojo in the Morning. What's going on? Are you having issues in your relationship?
Yeah, well, I live here in Michigan, and my husband moved to another state, and I'm not sure of his address or anything.
Where did you guys get married? What state did you get married in?
Michigan.
Daniel, how hard is that if you don't know where your spouse is and you want to get divorced from them?
Well, what you do is they have something called substitute service publication, and you publish it for so many weeks in a newspaper that divorce is pending, et cetera, and the court can order service by substitution, or he can mail it to his last, certified mail to his last known address, or mail to his last known address, plus the publication. And then the question is effectuating proper notice and proper service so that if the guy is possible to be reached, you have attempted at least reasonably trying to get a hold of him and let him know what's going on.
Have you had it before where you've seen people get divorced, but the other party wasn't even involved in the divorce?
Yes. A lot of times people are here and they don't even get involved in the divorce.
So what, months later, years later, that person comes back into your life, you got to show them the court papers that says we are divorced.
Well, they'll find out. I mean, it's recorded in the court, and the court records are open to everybody, or yes, you can show it to them.
I'll give you Daniel's number coming up here in a second, so get a piece of paper and a pen, okay?
Okay.
313-298-9595. Sarah?
Yes.
What's up in your relationship?
Well, I don't really have a relationship with him. We've been divorced since 2000. He was in prison when I divorced him, so the judge gave him joint legal custody of my daughter. Obviously, he was in prison.
Joint legal custody when he was in prison?
Yes. I didn't vote for that judge the next year.
What county was this?
What county was it?
This was Wayne County.
Wow.
There was no child support set. He's been in and out of prison. He just got out again last week. I want to go for full custody of my daughter. Do I need an attorney to do this?
Well, you probably do. You can try and do it through the front of the court yourself, but with all due respect, you're always better off when you have an attorney who knows his way or her way around the courts.
Right, and this is not something I really want to mess up.
Yeah, and the issues, there's certain things they focus on for custody, and a lot of times people that aren't familiar with the law just really don't know where the judges or the front of the court people are coming from.
Why does he keep going in and out of jail? What's he doing?
He's a crackhead who seems to like to break into houses.
Wow.
And the judge gave him half custody?
Oh, yeah.
Is the judge a crackhead?
He was, you could go back to the abusive relationship and the manipulate. I mean, it's all
That's
there.
crazy.
And he called the judge from prison while I was standing in front of the judge.
Wait a
Wow.
minute. The courtroom
it was
accepted a collect call?
Yes.
You're receiving a call
And my attorney, my $2,000 attorney, just did nothing. She
Wow.
just stood there. My mouth is dropped open, and I was like, what is going on?
If he's a crackhead, the best he should have is supervised visitation. I mean, that or parenting time, as they call it. But from what you say, of course, there's his side, her side, and the truth. We haven't heard his side, but assuming what you say is all
I'm not
true.
going to go by his side. The guy's back and forth.
Crackhead. Was your
Case
attorney a
closed.
crackhead? That's
Hey,
crazy.
Holly has a question that a lot of people, have issues with. Holly's husband was divorced. When he got divorced, he had a bad attorney, and he got screwed on the child support. Holly, what is your question for Daniel Moss?
Well, hi, Dan.
Hi, how are you, Holly?
Good, thank you. My husband, unfortunately, he went with a high price lawyer the first time, and then he met me, and she wasn't doing her job, so then he went with somebody I suggested, which was awful.
Okay,
Well,
what is your question? Go ahead, just tell me your question.
His ex-wife was smart enough to know that if she was working part-time and he was working overtime, she would get more child support. So now my husband is paying out an enormous amount of money in child support, and we were also told we didn't have any chance whatsoever of getting, split visitation or, we want more custody.
So what is it that you guys want to do? You guys want to go back and get a redo?
Yes.
Is it possible, Danny?
Sure. Child support is one thing in divorce that's always subject to modification based on a change in circumstances. So if you can allege something, maybe a 20% change in income or loss of income, either way, it can be reviewed.
And that's very important right now, as a lot of people are getting laid off, or maybe, like you just said, 20%. A lot of these people going to 4-day work weeks. That's a significant drop in your salary. So you want to go back and revisit that clause and get your attorney to actually revisit child custody payments.
Spike, I think I'm going to hire you.
Thank you.
You like that? Daniel Moss, 248-855-5656 is his phone number. 248-855-5656 is his office number. Or go to dmosslaw.com. I'm going to come back. We're going to take some more questions coming up here in just a second. Lines are filled up with a lot of questions. One of the questions is there any way to get a cheap divorce? I mean, there's a lot of people that are suffering economically right now. How are you about to do that? And how can you go through with the divorce where your spouse pays the entire divorce? How do you go about doing that?
Holla.
You going to ask me now or later?
I'm going to ask you right after this break. So get ready for that. 313-298-9595, text 95500 or pound 955 on your Verizon wireless phone. Questions for divorce attorney Daniel Moss in studio with us this morning. Coming up here in just a little bit, we're going to meet another contestant in our contest that we're doing with Danny. Hey, Sean.
Hello.
What's
Good morning.
your question? You're on with Daniel Moss.
Yes, I need to know, can one lawyer represent both people economically? Like, I need a cheap divorce because, I want to do it for like $2,500 out the door. Like, we don't hate
No
each
add-ons,
other.
no extras.
We don't hate each other. We just got to. I mean, we're living different lives, and it's time to move on.
You just
Sean,
drew
I
apart.
get this. That's a good question.
I've had all my friends, 11,000, 40,000, 12,000. I don't want to go in debt either to
That's what
divorce
happens,
this guy.
Sean. That's what happens when people fight. If you have things mostly agreed to, one lawyer can do it. But as a practical matter, he can only represent one of you. But as long as the two of you agree, and the one that signs the divorce that I'm not representing says, "Okay, I understand. You're only representing my wife," it's perfectly valid. It's perfectly doable,
And
I do it on occasion.
And then basically for the judge, it's just signing off on papers, isn't it?
It's a slam dunk, yeah.
Yeah. 313-298-9595 is our telephone number. We've got Nicole on with us right now. Hey, Nicole.
Hi.
Hey, what's your question for Daniel Moss?
My question is, I was legally divorced on August 15th of last year, and we went to arbitration on October 5th, and I haven't heard anything back. Does it typically take?
You were divorced and then you went to arbitration?
Yes.
What did you arbitrate?
My husband says I took ex-husband says I took 5 pages of different tools.
Okay, so this was after you got divorced. There was a provision in the divorce probably that said if there's a problem, you go to an arbitrator instead of to a judge.
Yes.
Well, that saves money because the arbitrator makes a quick decision. You don't have to waste your time in court, and both of you can go to the arbitrator, and the arbitrator will resolve the issue.
How long does it usually take for the arbitrator to come back with decisions?
Arbitrators can come back with a decision the same day.
Really?
Wow.
How long, though, would you have to wait? Because she sounds like she's waiting for a while for this.
Well, I would call the arbitrator and say, let's go. Let's get it over with.
We need to get this thing over with.
Yeah.
What did you take from him?
He says I took a bunch of tools.
You like tools, or?
No, I didn't. He suggested that we take a polygraph test.
Oh, the arbitrator did?
No, my ex-husband.
Your ex-husband did.
Yes.
Is that admissible?
Well, let me put it this way. I have used them. They are admissible at the discretion of the judge on evidentiary issues only. For instance, in a criminal case, in a search and seizure case, officer says he saw the gun. The driver says, well, no, that gun was under the seat. He couldn't have seen it. I've had a case dismissed based on a polygraph test that the driver was telling the truth. It's strictly up to the discretion of the judge. It's not admissible basically on the ultimate issues in the case. But some judges use them, some judges don't. And if you want to voluntarily do it and in arbitration say, we'll let everything hinge on that, that's your prerogative.
We gave this caller an alias. His name is Brian. Your voice disguised. Brian, what's your question for the divorce attorney?
Hi, how are we doing?
Good. What's your question?
Okay, my question is, I've been married 11 years. When I met my wife, she had 3 kids from her husband she was currently with. She got a divorce. She signed off on the 3 kids, but she did not want them. Okay? We've had 3 kids together. They're currently 8, 3, 2. She wants a divorce now. She's had multiple affairs. She's going with a doctor now that she's seeing, and she thinks she's going to get full custody or at least joint custody. And I'm telling her, from what I'm finding out, that I can get full custody of this situation, of what's going on. And I still love my wife and want to be with her even after all that.
Hey, Brian, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Why would you get together with a woman that didn't want custody of her kids in a previous relationship?
Yeah,
That's a great
weird.
question.
What mom wouldn't want custody of her own kids? That was red flag number 1, man.
Yeah, I agree.
Why do you want to stay with that?
Because I don't want to break up the family. That's the problem.
But she's already broke up the family.
Okay, but woulda, coulda, shoulda. He's standing up. You're being a dad to these kids. Now what do you do?
She comes home. She gets out of work at 5:30. She works in Dearborn. We live in Grand Blanc, Michigan. It's an hour and a half as it is, but she'll go out. The doctor will take her to hotels, do this. She'll get home at 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Where did she meet the doctor?
At work.
So she's a nurse, or?
No, she works in the medical field. It's a big medical center. The doctor's the medical director there. But this guy, she's had multiple affairs before over the last.
Can you,
years.
Danny? Let me ask Danny a question, because I wanted you to be protected as far as your kids are concerned, because it sounds like she might be the unfit parent here. Can you bring up past relationships in a current divorce? Like, hey, this woman signed off on her other kids.
Only only as it affects the custody of the children. In other words, any factor that affects custody. On the issue of custody, they're going to consider. Now, there's roughly 12 factors of the Child Custody Act, and the issue generally on adultery-type cases is the adultery in front of the kids? Does it affect the parenting? Are the kids exposed to the third party? Those kind of things do go to factors in the Child Custody Act as far as custody.
So she's a chronic adulterer, but doesn't have the adultery in front of the kids? The judges don't mind that?
You go out at night. Go do whatever you want, not in the presence of the children. Not in the presence of the children.
Right.
And it's rare though that the children don't get wind of it. That's
I have a
the
question
whole
for you.
point.
Right.
What age in custody battles can kids say, or does the court look at it? where a kid can say, I want to live with my mom, I want to live with my dad?
That is a good question. That the preference of the children is something the judges must consider. Generally, when they're young, 3, 4, 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, generally it's not considered or given much weight. As they get older, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, then the preference of the children takes on more weight as one of the factors, depending on whether the judge finds that it's a reasonable choice and not basically coerced or unduly influenced by one parent or the other.
Right. One last question here, and this is also voice disguised. Sue is her alias. Sue?
Yeah.
Sue, your question is about a paternity?
My question is, my ex-husband so-called has a kid by another woman. He didn't sign the birth certificate, and she never went after him yet for child support. So the kid's going to be 2. When she does go after him, is he going to owe back child support?
So he's not with this woman? She's just claiming paternity on him?
Well, she hasn't claimed it yet. He says that it's not his kid. She says it is, but she said that she's going to get a paternity test. But what my question is what if she waits till the kid's 5 years old? Is he going to have to pay 5 years worth of
He can go back. They can go back. They can go back for the cost of the conception, the hospitalization, and everything else.
Wow. So you think if he truly believes it's not his, does he go get a paternity test and get it done with?
I would get it over with one way or the other. Why live with it?
Mm-hmm.
If they'll cooperate.
So if the kid turns 16 and then they say, okay, yes, this is your kid, he's going to owe 16 years.
No. I think I haven't checked that statute lately.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, get it out of. For your peace of mind, I would have him do a paternity
test. I
test.
don't want it to affect my child support because obviously they're going to renegotiate mine. But somebody told me because we have an agreement outside of court, it's still through the forensic court, but he pays me directly. They said that since he has a court order, like he would show that court order, and my 2 kids would come first, and then she would get whatever's left after he pays my child support.
No matter how it's laid out, it's only going to get more expensive the longer he waits if it is his child.
Yeah, he needs to go and do something, get it over with one way or the other.
Okay, so they could dip into my child support?
Well, if he has to pay child support for 3 kids, it's going to be less for all of them.
Well, no. Your question is, she gets child support from another man. She is with this guy now as her husband. Would her child support have to pay for this guy's child support? No, right?
Absolutely not.
They wouldn't take that.
Just his income.
Because that'd be insane.
Right, just his income.
The Brady Bunches would have been screwed. That would have been like a nuts.
Spread the wealth around.
All right, Daniel Moss, you've been seeing an influx of calls, haven't you, because of the nature of the economy right now? People are breaking up in their relationships more than ever now.
Yeah, the problem is people don't have money. What used to be, at least for lawyers, people used to have equity in their homes. So they could borrow on the equity in their homes, or they could pay, or a lawyer could say, well, there's equity in the home. At the end of the case, I'll get paid.
Right.
That's not there anymore. People have a tough time with money.
If you're looking for a divorce attorney, and I said this before on the air, and I still stick by it, get Daniel Moss before your significant other gets Daniel Moss.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
Because you get screwed. If this is the divorce attorney you want, 248-855-5656, 248-855-5656, or go to dmosslaw.com.